Hi everyone, Kaye here. Today we're going to hear from Michele Hart from Microsoft on Microsoft Power BI known issues. We're also going to hear about certifications with Shannon Lindsay and from Reid Havens from Havens Consulting on reporting and visuals. Join us to find out about how you can also win some fun Power BI giveaways. All this and more here on the Power BI Community Show, starting now. Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Kaye, Power BI Community Engagement Lead with the larger community success team led by Heather Newman at Microsoft. Thanks for joining us today. We have a ton of content for you that's super exciting. We'd love to start with Michele Hart, Senior Technical Writer at Power BI. Michele, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning. It's good to see you almost in person.
Good to see you too. So I hope you had a great weekend.
I did. It was nice and warm here in North Carolina.
Fantastic. Well, here in Bellevue, Washington, it's a little bit cold. We had a great
Mm,
weekend, but it's a little bit
One of
cold.
the reasons I moved.
Okay, so today you've got so much important information for us. I know that there's been a lot of customer frustration. I know that you've been with Microsoft for a long time, and we've got some great stuff coming up. You've got some known issues, I hear, a known issues solution. Yeah.
We do. But instead of starting with the solution and just jumping right in and showing you that, I thought I would start with the problem and
Okay.
tell a story to set the stage. Um, so I think that'll help people understand why this solution is such a great thing. They
Yep.
if they completely understand feelings behind the problem.
Absolutely. Stories are a great way of
Yeah.
highlighting issues. Yeah. Thank you.
So here is my story. Let's say that I'm a Power BI customer and I have a report that has a number of personal bookmarks and report bookmarks, and I'm trying to add a new one. But every time I try to add that new bookmark, it fails. It just doesn't get added to the list. So, what do I do next? The first thing that I will probably do is try and try again, maybe 5, 10, 100 times, maybe changing or tweaking something small to try to get it to work. If that doesn't help me, I'll of course go over to those wonderful Power BI documentation documents and see if maybe the feature has changed or if I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
Um, if that doesn't help, I'm going to start troubleshooting. So
Mhm.
maybe I'll try creating the bookmark in a brand new report that doesn't have any bookmarks, or I'll see if I can add the bookmark to a report that's in capacity,
Mhm.
or it's in my workspace, or any kind of troubleshooting steps. And I might even try a workaround. Maybe I'll take one of the report bookmarks that already exists in my report and try to repurpose it so that I can sneak in my new bookmark. And if that doesn't work, I'll probably hop on Teams and ask some of my colleagues if they're experiencing the same issue. And if they're not, I'll reach out further and I'll go to the wonderful community site and I'll search on bookmarks and see if other Power BI customers are experiencing the same issue as
Yeah,
I
and that
am.
and that's community.powerbi.com, right?
That is. I'm there all the time. Um, but by now, I've spent a considerable amount of time
Yeah.
on this problem, and I'm getting really frustrated. And I've done everything that I can on my end, so it's time for me to call support or contact support. And then here my story splits into two parts. So let's say I call support and I reach a support engineer, and that support engineer and I will try a lot of the same things that I've already done. So we're going to spend some more time trying to repro the issue. And maybe that support engineer is going to call in a PM or a escalation engineer or a developer to try to get the history on this feature and to see, what's up, why it's not working for me. And then at the end of the call, we'll create a ticket. And then I can go off and do something else because I know that Microsoft is working on this.
Okay.
Yeah. But in scenario two, let's say I reach a support engineer who's already had 2 or 3 calls about this issue. And so that support engineer can tell me, hey, this is a known issue. We're working on it. And they don't create a ticket. I hang up, but I'm still, confident that Microsoft is working on this and they're going to fix it. Um, Clearly, option B is better than option A, but in both cases, uh, either just me alone. I've spent a not fun day
Yeah.
working on things that are not my core priorities, and the other in option phone call A, I've involved other people in also researching this.
Yeah, a lot of resources go into triaging things. People don't realize, and it is
Yeah.
the time, and that's it's a great way of describing that, that time wasted going through and finding out if it's a known issue, if the yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what if there was a better way? And that's what we've done. We've come up with a better way. So our solution is to take this internal only list of known issues and in complete transparency, excuse me, make this list available to customers.
Oh,
And
wow.
we've decided to do this through the documentation site because, as you know, that site we can publish at will. So as soon as a known issue is surfaced, we can get it out to the public quickly.
That's fantastic.
And yeah, we've automated some of this, and we're going to continue to automate more of it. In fact, I'll tease something that I think is slated to go live next week, and that is if you're on PPAC and you search for something and the algorithms recognize the keywords that you're using, you'll actually get a pop-up saying, "Hey, this is a known issue. Go check it out."
Okay.
So we're hoping that people will bookmark this site and think about all the time and frustration it's going to save instead of hours or a whole day trying to figure out why something isn't working. You encounter that change in a feature that used to work a certain way. You just go over to the known issue site. You see it there on the list, and you can rest assured that Microsoft has this well in hand. So this is a big win for customers because it's going to reduce that frustration and that wasted time. But it's also a big win for Microsoft
Yeah,
because, yeah, we're going to deflect a lot of support volume. We're going to reduce duplication in the form of calls and tickets and time spent.
that's
So,
fantastic.
yeah, it's a great idea. It was actually an idea that was part of an internal Power BI hackathon.
Oh,
And they approached me because I work on the docs to get involved with this. And I was absolutely, yes, I definitely want to be involved with this. And the team that came up with it did some research ahead of time, and they've discovered that, excuse me, undocumented known issues account for 96 support cases and
wow.
29 ICMs every month.
Wow.
And that's we won't have that problem anymore.
Oh, oil will be,
Well,
it'll
sorry,
be
yeah,
greatly reduced, yeah.
yeah,
I don't think yeah.
yeah. It's not a cure-all.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
Well,
it'll definitely support a lot of deflect a lot of that support volume.
right. So tell us more, like, this is so
Mhm.
everybody saw the link, which was aka.ms Daniel, thank you, Power BI known issues, and were you going to show us a demo or walk us through or
I
tell
am.
us more about okay, great. So
I am. So
super excited
so
about that.
so this is the part where I'm going to show you the solution to the problem.
Yay.
And that is where in complete transparency we make our known issues available to the public. The
Okay.
I'm going to start here on the Power BI documentation website,
Yeah.
and I'm going to scroll down. There's a new card called troubleshooting. And this new card, the landing page, contains really 3 pieces of information. It contains information about contacting and working with support. It also contains a new section that links out to all of the troubleshooting documentation throughout the Power BI doc set. But what we're talking about today is the known issues. The top level, this top article contains a table of all the active known issues. And so those would be the known issues that are open and that have been recently fixed. So you can see here's one that was fixed on April 5th. I don't know if you can see what I'm circling.
Yep.
Now, the story that I told, uh, the issue with the bookmarks was invented, but let's take a look at this first one. It says unable to load Power BI dataset list in Excel. So if I click on that, it takes me to a detail page that's designed to help the customer make sure that the problem that they're facing is the same thing that that's represented by this known issue.
Great.
So now we have the title. We tell you what it applies to, um, the problem area, describe the problem, and then we describe some symptoms so that it can help you figure out if what you're seeing is due to this known issue because maybe the title doesn't exactly match with the symptoms. If it has a workaround, as this one does, we'll give you the workaround so that you can continue working and you don't have to wait until a fix comes in. And and that's really it.
Great.
That's our
Great.
new solution.
And what was the next step section that we just saw there? I just is that
Oh,
next steps, on our end here on the community side, and
right now,
feedback?
yeah, right now the next step just takes you back
Okay.
to the table, but we're open for suggestions if you have other ideas for what we should put
Okay.
in the next steps section.
A and if you go back, was that a feedback link there that, people can join? If you go back I think one screen, or is it right at the bottom? There we are.
Yep.
And that feedback, is it on your particular site, or is it on the known issues? Like, is
Yeah,
that where
that's a
people give
good
feedback?
question because
Okay.
people do get confused. You can submit feedback about two different things. If
Okay.
it's feedback about this exact page, use this link.
Okay.
But if it's feedback about the product, about Power BI, use the this product link.
Okay. Maybe we should put a bit of a explanation on, that submit feedback, form.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
to
that
help
that
the
would
community.
that would definitely help with the Git issues and having
Yeah,
to reassign them to the product team when it's not about the documentation.
exactly,
For
exactly.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
this is fantastic. I think it's definitely gonna help the community, we can go there and say, "Oh my gosh, am I experiencing something that everybody else is experiencing? It's a known
Mhm.
issue. Hey, we know about it. We're working on it. We'll fix it. We'll let you know when." Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So
Yeah, absolutely.
we're gonna reduce a bunch of that frustration as well.
Absolutely. So instead of those, like I said, the the half a day or 5 hours or 2 hours that you spend in frustration, you just go to the known issues page, which of course you've book linked and probably put in your favorites bar, and open that page up and you'll see your known issue and you just, reprioritize your day and come back to it when it's fixed.
Excellent, excellent. So, how about, how often is the known issues site updated? Because I'm sure there are a lot more issues with the product or things we're working on.
Mhm.
What types of things go on the known issues site?
Yeah, another good question. So this is designed for feature specific problems that are temporary.
Okay.
So there's another site that you would go to for um, site wide issues, and that's the support site.
Yep. Yep.
And if it's a new feature that we're working on, that doesn't appear here. This is
Okay.
just things that used to work and are temporarily not working the way that they're supposed to.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I should scroll back up here. So, I mean, we hope that people will try it and find it useful, and it will become more and more automated as time goes on.
This is great news for everybody, and I can see a couple of the comments here in the chat that have been coming through.
Mhm.
So, setting up a bookmark and creating a subscription, they should see the updates through email. So, can you do that? Can you set up a subscription?
Um, you can set up a subscription. This was a question somebody else raised recently. I can't remember
Mhm,
who it was, and it's a great idea. I have to research it a little bit more to see if there's a way that we can add a
mhm,
subscription to the page, but you can always download a browser extension
mhm.
that can do that for you.
And Umakant just commented, and thank you so much, everyone, for commenting. I think it's Umakant Kaye said that he sees that
Uh-huh.
he noticed that they noticed that the issues are removed or deleted
Mhm.
after they're solved. Is there a way or a page that the community can look up to see which issues have been fixed? Because maybe somebody's experiencing
Yeah.
something that's been solved, but they didn't know. So maybe they could look that up.
Yeah, no, that's not what this is designed to do.
Oh,
Um, yeah. Uh, Once it's resolved, we're assuming I it's resolved for everybody. If that's not the case, we'd wanna raise it as a new issue.
okay,
Yep,
okay. All
and
right. So
there's a funny story around the 46 days also. It's because our competitors remove it after 45 days, so we wanted to do 1 day better.
okay. Well, that's really well, thank you so much for that. No, I appreciate everybody's comments. And this
Sure.
is Michele Hart, our senior technical writer with the Power BI team. And Michelle, please stay and join us at the
Mhm.
end of the show, right? To have a chat. I loved
Yeah,
this
no,
segment. I really think it's going to help a
thank
lot of the
you.
community. And thank you for
I
taking
do
the
too.
time.
It's gonna help me for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Alright. Thanks, Kelly.
Okay, we'll see you later. Okay, and now we have an amazing presentation, as he always does. Microsoft MVP Reid Havens, who's also a data architect. Is that right, Reid? Yes?
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Excellent.
term I've liked to be using more recently. And again, that credit goes to Mike Carlo, I think, for somewhat coining it or passing it on to me. But with the amount of architecture now available these days in Power BI, especially in the tenant, like I think there is more architectural work that needs to be done for a lot of clients to get it everything all configured properly for them.
Shout out to Mike Carlo as well. Thank you very much for that. And
Yeah,
Mike Carlo
yeah.
was, I think, on our first episode too, along with Treb and
Mm,
with Mr. Tommy Puglia on Power BI Goals. So yeah, they're a
mm,
great team. They're a great team. So Reid, are
absolutely.
you going to talk to us about Power BI reports and visuals today? What have you got for us?
Yeah, so in general, I like to find a way to flex and enhance the native visuals as much as possible, especially these days with that magical F of X button that does a whole bunch of stuff
Mhm.
within visuals. But really, just trying to figure out ways to add user interactions and just in general KPIs or enhancements to have them be the best versions of themselves that they can be. Certainly, without before having to finally resort to custom visuals, which has its own place, but I try to milk every drop that I can out of the native visual environment first, and before I head into the custom visual environment.
100%, and it makes such a difference, doesn't it, to your presentations, actionable insights, all of that. So
Exactly.
yeah, always looking forward to your presentation. So I will not delay further. Please take it away.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank
Perfect. We
you.
got that over here. So this is the one that's actually been iterated over about 3 or 4 different videos that I've done over the last 6 or 7 months in on my YouTube channel. But the essentially what we have here is a combination of a lot of different elements that are feeding into the end result is a an analytics chart that we have here, a column chart that actually has specifically a analytics line here. But as you notice that the threshold that it's meeting for, in this case, selectionable items at the top, we actually have two different colors that are being returned. A color has been set, some type of KPI color above the threshold line, and then kind of a grayed out, color to identify any of the values that are either partially or completely below the line. And this color actually does change as I move my selection around. You can see that the actual green gets filled in. Was to change it to percentage of max. I even actually have a slicer that allows me to make these adjustments, and that as the line moves, the color moves with that. So there's been a
Yeah.
few new features that have come out. For those familiar with Power BI, you probably recognize that the That percentage adjustment slider is a what if scenario slicer that's built into Power BI. This right here is just a disconnected table that's letting me pick the values. But starting from the chart perspective and time permitting and everything, what I want to now open up is the visualizations pane and select the chart here so you can actually see that what I'm using is a stacked column chart. And I actually have two different values. I have essentially some measure that is below and above, and that is the stacked values that I have here. Now, the reason that I actually now started doing this year is the thing that I've been waiting for a very long time in Power BI was the option to have a total label turned on, because it before this was added, I think last fall, you would have to kind of have some workarounds to get any type of, turn this on, data labels to show is you would either have to write a custom measure that would be a grand total that would go into your tooltips well, or you'd have to, add these two together to get your grand total. You could get an approximate one from looking at the axis, but there really wasn't any way to get a grand total on the top. And I used to have to actually layer visuals and do some clever workarounds to get that. And so when they finally added the ability just to have this, and when you turn it on, you also get that in the tooltip. You get the total there as well. It finally kind of reached a level of satisfaction that I wanted to deploy to the enterprise. The things that I'll mention here is I'll skirt around on some of these things, then link you later to a couple of the videos that I have linked from my YouTube channel on the Power BI community forum. Did that actually just before. Go
I
ahead.
just want to jump in here. The
Yeah.
totals titles that were implemented last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
this is a fantastic way of using them. So if you go back into the filter pane here and show people, I think it's super important that people understand, you can have your total labels here. You've got your totals at the top. You're avoiding some tooltips and some measures, and then you're applying it in such a unique way. I really love how you've done this. It looks fantastic.
And I will make as a mention both myself and other MVPs kind of discovered this bug/feature. It's something that I've actually we've had email conversations on, is this little FFX symbol here. Just as a quick tangent, when you actually apply that, it can't be applied per column. So any logic that's applied to this based off of a rule, it only is able to retrieve one grand total value for the entire visual. So my goal was actually that I wanted to basically white out or blank out the data labels for below the value columns here. It's not available today. I've heard it's it's something that the team is looking at exploring in the future, but sadly I cannot figure out any easy way to essentially hide the labels below the line to even further draw attention to the top values.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. We got about
Thank you.
4 minutes now, so I just want to make sure I'm time sensitive. So let's see. A couple quick things that I'll show into here. So the actual calculations for the above and below line thing, without digging into all of this, which again I'll have a lengthier video in the community channel that I'll link to when I'm finally done. But essentially, there's just a statement to check for the above line. If my base analytics line, if that is less than the sales amount, it does a subtraction of the two. Otherwise, it just basically does not return a value. So that's how in those cases for the above line situation, if the grand total here is below it, it's not going to actually have an above line value. So that green is just not going to show up for those sections where it's below it, and vice versa. So I essentially split the calculation in half, do a kind of condition check to see whether or not any of these columns actually passes it, and then it returns the upper half and lower half from whatever that line is. And that's how I'm able to stack them and then get this effect that, again, as we move the slider around here, it basically will cut those off or start to show them with any of these sections. And I really like the stacked line for that, because it achieves this nice little clean effect. I will probably have some more updates again even to this and further iterate it once that data label enhancements eventually gets added into there. But I've found that this is just a really nice way to bring a lot of variety to this. And let's see, the last thing that I'll probably mention here and kind of briefly show is the fact that the analytics line that I'm using is adjustable. I was inspired kind of from the fact that, as another feature that was added recently, we have a constant line that was added with an option to actually put a measure in here. So now, instead of just simply an average line or a median line, I can put a DAX measure into here. So whatever number that is generated by some DAX logic can be put into here. So that actually allows me to basically, create the slicer that lets me select between all these, because there is a measure that is being put into this.
Wow, we're certainly getting a ton out of these visuals. This is fantastic. I love how you've done this, Reid.
Yep. again, like I like to give users degrees of freedom, to explore as much of this as possible. And most of these calculations are pretty straightforward because I have month and year on the axis. To actually know what my average, value or my median is, I need to do an iterator function basically just over the month and year value for sales amount. So it's really a pretty just copy paste formula of any of the x functions for average, median, the percentiles, and the max x. Where that what if scenario, that's just coming into here to actually determine what my percentile is for either of these, the inclusive or exclusive, just harvesting that percentage number, which is why that slider here changes it if I'm on either of these. And there's a
Ah,
couple of other little like things that you might notice where if I actually do this, this actually whites out. There's some other like DAX calculations that are going into the title to actually say that this slicer doesn't actually work with median, things that I won't get into, and I'll recommend checking out the kind of supplementary video that I have onto this. But you can see all these little like breadcrumb pieces that you can add. Like I don't technically need to disable the slicer, but this is now indicating to the users that slicer is not applicable for this scenario, but it is applicable when you have the percentiles. So I like to put as many guardrails up as possible for the clients, because the more degrees of freedom that you offer, the more complex it gets. And so as much as possible, when you can at least guide them to what is and isn't working in any scenario, just helps to drive adoption and just make it easier to understand what they can use at any moment during the report consumption process.
yeah, 100%. I love this. I mean, this has just made me think about how we use slices and totals and everything in
Yep.
in a complete totally in a in a different way. I mean, yeah, it definitely gets, you get so much more out of your regular visuals, and you don't have to go to some of the custom visuals if you use it in a
Yep.
different way like this. And
And
really,
there's one little thing that I'll mention that,
yeah, please.
again, because I've done, I think, 3 different videos on this, but as
Yeah.
percentage of max, I can go to 0%, I can go at 100, just because, I basically, it's a full range.
Let's
But
do that again. Let's do that again. Let's do that
yeah,
again. So I think it went a bit fast because I really love how the line moves.
exactly. But the with percentage of max, that makes sense. I have an entire 0 to 100 range. However, if anybody's worked with percentiles, you can't actually, it depends on there's a logic of n divided by n plus 1 type thing. So for
Yep.
percentile, if you actually click on this, it only lets me go up to 97. So there's an actual filter on the slicer to prevent me, when I select that, from actually going to 0. Because if I tried to do, um, it won't let me put it in there, but it would throw an error. The actual DAX measure would error out. So the last thing that I'll just mention is kind of like a nudge to go check out the other video that I have. Is there is a DAX measure that is a filter on my slicer. Uh, There we go. Open it up. Come on. And percentile adjustment. So basically, have a flag of 0, -1 to determine what rows in my percentile uh, what if scenario can be included in this or not. So there is an additional filter into here to get rid of that. And I was inspired to do that because somebody mentioned one of my first videos on this, that there was kind of an error coming up. So I figured out essentially a solution to get that filtered slider range. So all these little things to prevent any issues for the end user.
Okay, I'm completely blown away. This is amazing. This is amazing stuff. And, we really want to learn more about all of these nuances and ways that we can enhance our visuals, our regular visuals. So we're going to be posting these on the community webinar gallery, yes. And of course, all of those lead to your YouTube channel. But, Reid has graciously offered to put a couple of those videos in the community. So you don't have to go to a bunch of places, but it will still lead you back to
Yeah, I mean,
your
if
channel.
if I can post in the YouTube, I don't know if it will automatically delete them or
Oh,
not, but I've already uploaded the videos, so those are the links that will
let's
take you
see.
to the two corresponding videos to this in the YouTube chat.
Fantastic. Oh, well, look, thanks so much, Reid. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate this and other videos that you do. I know you're going to be on 2 more Power BI community shows coming up, so keep your ears out, everybody, for that. And please stay until the end, where we're all going to chat together.
hmm Thank
Thank you
you.
again. This is great. Okay, so I've learned a ton today from Reid about how to change my visuals now to get more of them. It's amazing how much we learn from each other in the community and our MVP. So thank you so much. And now up next, speaking of learning, we have the amazing Shannon Lindsay from MS Learn. And Shannon is a senior content developer who is here to help us all learn more about the Power BI certifications. Woohoo! Yay! Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Excitement I've seen about certification.
I can't quite hear you properly. Hang on.
That's the most excitement I've seen about certifications.
It is exciting. It's changing people's lives. We've got some great stories about people who, worked to get their certification last year and now they have careers in Power BI. I mean, it's a fantastic thing to do. And it's not, even if you know Power BI, having the certification shows other people that, yes, you actually do know Power BI, and I think that makes a little bit of a difference, right?
Definitely. Yes. Speaking from personal experience, I agree completely. And it boosts your confidence. So I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, as we talked about before, there are some differences between the old and the new certification. And we'd love for you to help us understand what's going on there and how we can navigate. So without further ado, Shannon, please.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Yeah, so I'm so grateful that I was invited here today to chat. I wanted to just make sure that, there's a lot going on in the world of Power BI certification right now. There used to be one exam only that contained Power BI. There are now two. So I'm going to take us through just what the differences are between the two after I do a quick plug for why we should get certified.
Okay, let's do it.
Okie doke. Alrighty. So, if anyone who is watching now has a certification, a professional certification of any sort, can you drop the reason why you got certified into the chat? I think that would be really helpful just for us to all see the reasons that each other are getting these kinds of certifications. And as you do that, I'm going to talk through the reasons why I think professionally it's a great idea to get certified. The first thing I do want to mention is that this is not a sales pitch. Certification is really something that you do for your own professional development, for your own self, and for your personal development as well. So, as Kelly mentioned, experience is really great, but you have to be able to demonstrate your knowledge and skills to future or employers, sorry, and colleagues. And so certification is just that. Microsoft certification really allows for you to be able to demonstrate, I have these skills. It has been proven that I have them, and this is why you should hire me. So certifications enable you to get hired faster. It helps you validate your skills. It helps you to get recognized among your peers. It helps you get rewarded. On average, certified employees in an IT setting earn 15% more than those without certification. So just thinking about, monetary benefits alone, they exist. And certification can also help you get promoted. And as I'm sure we're all working towards that next step in our career, and certification can really fit nicely into that. So with that being said, I'm going to jump from the benefits of certification into what are the certifications that exist out in the wild for Power BI specifically.
Hey, Shannon, I just wanted to jump in and just reiterate. So number one, it's personal achievement. Number two is, and these are the benefits. Number two is, letting your professional colleagues know that, yes, you have this certification and yes, you indeed do. And then also creating a new career, adding more income and more opportunity. Anything I've missed or anything we've missed that we can let the community just reiterate on?
Yeah, maybe there are some things in the chat that people have to add.
Okay, I'll look out for that while you do the next bit.
Great, thanks. Okay. Yeah, so jumping back now into certifications that include Power BI. At Microsoft, we do not necessarily do product-specific certifications. So here we're talking about role-based certifications. And I'm loving seeing everything that's coming into the chat. I agree completely with all of that. But so jumping back to the certs themselves, we're talking here about role-based certifications. And as you may have seen, we now have 2 role-based certifications that include Power BI. So the first one is now called the Power BI Data Analyst. And as you can see, they both have the words data analyst in the title. So I want to make sure that we make it really clear what the difference is between the two. So for the first exam, this is our Power BI Data Analyst. This is what used to be the DA 100. So this is you're working in a business, perhaps you're in a business-led implementation model, and you are using Power BI. This is the exam for you. Or even the skills to build to work towards the exam eventually. So this is already out in the wild. For those of you who have the DA 100, if you're DA 100 holders, you are going to be able to, as you come up and become eligible for renewal, you will just then renew as a PL 300 certification holder. So if you are a DA 100 holder, you do not need to take the initial PL 300. So just to clear that up. Then I'm going to jump over to the brand new exam, and this is an enterprise data analyst role. The real distinction between the two is the Power BI data analyst is someone who is sitting in the business. Perhaps they are generating, analytics and insights on a daily basis for their department or their team, whereas the enterprise data analyst is someone who is probably sitting in IT. They're working on larger scale data. They're working on data models and reports that can be reused and scaled. So that's the real distinction between the two. The enterprise data analyst is also going to be proficient at querying data using T-SQL, exploring data in Azure Synapse Analytics, and then enterprise level Power BI tasks, some admin and governance type tasks, and not necessarily that this person will have admin capabilities or permissions, but that they will know what needs to be done so that they can make sure it gets implemented across the enterprise. If anyone has questions as I go, feel free to drop them into the chat. I'm happy to try to answer them. I'm going to dive just a little bit deeper. I only have 2 more slides. Sorry for the boring slides, but 2 more slides. We're just going to go through what are the skills measured in each of the exams, talk about similarities and differences. So in the Power BI data analyst, this will look very familiar to you if you are a DA 100 holder. Not much has changed. So we are going to be testing you on data preparation, data modeling, data visualization and analytics, and the deployment and maintenance of assets. So are you able to implement reporting from end to end using Power BI? In the enterprise data analyst exam, or role-based certification, you may notice that these 4 areas look very similar, but again, I want to just mention that the scale is very different. So you are going to be tested on whether or not you have an understanding of implementing and managing a data analytics environment, and this is alongside other analytics products and environments. So this is not necessarily just Power BI. We're also going to be making sure that we know how to query and transform data. There's a lot of optimization of data modeling in here, implementing and managing data models, and then last but not least, exploring and visualizing data. One just final plug that I want to mention that is not skill specific, but that is specific to the Enterprise Data Analyst exam is this exam is currently in beta. And the first 300 people who take the DP500 beta exam can get 80% off the price of the exam. I've got a link in the show notes that takes you to the blog post, which has the code for the discount. And the way that the discount works is you have to be one of the first 300 people to schedule and sit for the exam. And that ends, just so everyone knows, it's coming up very quick. That discount ends on May 17th. The exam will still be in beta after that, but there won't be an opportunity for that discount code. So I think that's all I've got as far as the difference between the two certs. And I'd love to hear, Kelly, did anything I say raise questions for you?
Yes, a couple. Why are there two now? I know that there's, the larger one. I suppose people are saying, okay, well, we've got this DA 100, and the next one is a little bit more. Why have two and not just one? Are we trying to cater to a different type of developer or
Great
creator?
question. Yes. Yes, great question. The reason why there are two and not one, and I think, eventually there will probably be more than two, is really twofold. One is that we saw a distinct need in the market for these enterprise level skills to be represented.
Okay.
So we saw the need, we are trying to respond to the need and make sure that we get not only the exam, but also the courseware and the content on Microsoft Learn so that people can prepare for that exam or just do a good job in their daily work. So that is one reason. The second is that, as many people who are on the call have seen, the breadth and scope of Power BI has grown tremendously over the past 6 years now. So it used to be that you could really encompass all of the skills that you can do within the product in not only in one exam, but it was also really potentially one type of job role that was doing that. And those were your data analysts. And now we're seeing, okay, with the integration of Power BI and Synapse and the integration with, other cloud-based technologies, Azure SQL, Microsoft Purview, just the world, the universe is growing. And so we wanted to be able to respond to that.
Well, thank you so much, because a couple of people are saying, well, why two? Why three? But I totally understand. It depends which area. There are so many areas to study in Power BI and to learn and develop and grow. And we have some great success stories that we'll be sharing later in the year in several areas on social. So look out for those. And Umakant, he has a certification, actually gives the recruiter the first impression that that a cert exists and you know about it, and also be sure that you have covered and learned the basics of the tool. Thank you so much, Umakant. We appreciate that, Umakant Kaye. And there's a couple of other comments here as well. We had a look at, here it is. I'm just scrolling back up again here. There we are. And it's to prove people are putting in there to prove themselves and also, help their careers. Jen Kuntz, shout out there to Jen. She got her DA 100 certificate to validate her knowledge, kind of all the reasons that we went through. But if you have other reasons, please pop them in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. And super excited that you've shared this knowledge and that you're always trying to help people learn. We love hearing from you, Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. And just to quickly talk to the comment that Rishi just dropped in, the whole skills outline, it exists. It's on the exam page on Microsoft Learn. So take a look, go through the different skills that you're going to be tested on either certification, and that's a good way to test your knowledge as well.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, I mean, we've had so much on the show today. And as we say, if you comment in the show notes here, either on certification or on the known issues site, because we'd love to know how you're using the known issues when you do, and also on Reid's beautiful presentation on reporting and visuals, let us know. We'll be picking out about 10 people today to send them some Power BI stickers. So
cool.
Feel free to keep commenting, and let's welcome everyone back, because we said stick around and we'll have a bit of a chat and say thank you. And of course, we didn't mention our fantastic producer, Daniel Zana. Hi, Daniel.
Hey,
Daniel's
how's
a
it
bit
going?
shy. Hi, good.
I'm
Daniel,
a bit shy,
yeah, you never promote yourself, but nothing would happen without you. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. Yeah.
So tell us, everybody, what was your favorite part of the show? And please comment in the chat as well. I loved all of it. I'm not biased at all. And I also love how Reid does his presentations, and I'm super jealous of his background. Come on.
There were quite a few comments about that.
Right?
Well,
Right?
People do like your background.
And change the themes and have it do different stuff as well too. Yeah.
I mean, it's I can imagine. I can imagine. So Michele, how are you? How are you going on the known issues site here? Have we started seeing some people come in and have a look yet, or have you not yet? You've just been on standby here, right?
We just started. I think we published it maybe 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
The first week, I think we had maybe 50 people accidentally probably stumble onto it, or else it was all of us just checking out the website itself. And at the end of the month, we'll run some more metrics on it and see how many hits we get.
Awesome.
I'll have to mark this day too to see if after the community show we get a spike or not.
Okay, well that'd be good. That'd be good. See if people start using the tool and help them out. And Shannon, so learning. Oh, I want to ask, Reid, do you have your certification? And Michele, I'm not sure that you developed, but Reid, do you have yours yet?
Yeah, so I have both, or will be having both. The PL I actually just took and passed recently, and for the fact that I was one of the 5 subject matter experts who actually wrote the questions for the DP 500, I get it as soon as it comes out of beta. So.
Oh, so you wrote some of the questions, yeah?
Yeah, I did. It was an intense week of when you spend 8 hours a day for 5 days back to back writing and reviewing questions. It's a little numbing on the brain, but it was a fun experience for sure.
And I'm sure people are pinging you about that too, but your lips are sealed.
I mean, all I can say from a high level is whatever's on the learning modules. Like if it says to study Azure Purview, I'll tell you to study Azure Purview. But I can't, because I'm a developer, I can't go into any further detail than that. But if you were curious about the PL 300, which I've passed and am writing the practice exam questions for, that I've been told is I'm fully allowed to like give advice or just basically talk about, because it's not the exam questions, it's just the practice exam questions.
Okay. Well, there you go. Shannon, I didn't know that, did you?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Oh, of course you did.
I get to work with so many brilliant people on creating these exams and also the content for it. And Reid actually just mentioned Azure Purview. I wanted to do just a quick shout out. There's not a ton of information, Microsoft Purview. There's not a ton of information on Microsoft Purview on Microsoft Learn at the moment, but we did just release a new module last week. So I will drop that in the chat if anyone wants to take a look. And it's really about discovering trusted data for reporting. So it really caters directly to this Azure Enterprise Data Analyst role.
We might have you back to chat about that then, Shannon. What do you think?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay, we'd love to invite you back. And Michele as well, we'd love to hear more about known issues. And Reid, we have 2 more videos or 2 more segments for you to appear on. And
excellent.
So thank you everyone today. We really appreciate everything you do for the community. Tell us about the show. Give us some feedback. I think Daniel's going to be doing the what do you call that when you
wrap up?
Oh, the signal. Like, all right, let's close it down, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I'm getting that kind of a little bit now. So we're going to say bye for now, and everyone, let's get together for a quick group shot. Daniel, can you take a screenshot, please?
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone, and we're all going to say bye for now, and we'll meet you in the community.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
See you there.
Take care. Bye-bye.